From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with incredible great news as forced stimulus checks have now landed in every U.S. state. In this major forced stimulus check update of 2022 for May 2nd, 2022, we go over the breaking news about those forced stimulus checks now in every U.S. state. And we're not done there yet because more are likely on the horizon. We'll go over the incredible great news that's at issue today, and there's a lot of breaking news as we go into a new week. We started today with the Build Back Better Act, with earnings per share on those corporate numbers last week the worst that we have seen since the start of the pandemic. Will it be worse this week? All the latest details on that front. And remember, if the data is weak, that's more reason to get Build Back Better Act passed. That has an additional $15,000 to $80,000 of checks on top of the checks that have already landed in your state from forced stimulus. Then we turn to the incredible details of that student loan debt forgiveness. More debt will be forgiven, but when and how much? I have the latest details on 7 stimulus in today's recording. The Federal Reserve has that FOMC meeting. Oh boy, what are they discussing? Lobster shorts? No. Mangoes and Brussels sprouts? No. They're discussing supply chain disruption about all of the above. And that meeting is Wednesday, but we have new indication today that some analysts believe the Federal Reserve needs to tighten a little bit more. Not to tighten the lobster shorts, they're a little too tight already. Then we turn to the developing details about 6 stimulus. You know, that's Putin, that is Ukraine. The new indication today that there is more trouble out of China. China's supply chain disruption hurting the United States. And that supply chain disruption will likely send us all in recession. All the latest details on that. But the great news today is that you want to become a member to this channel. With the #1 most watched show for financial news in prime time, it's tonight on EV's LALATE. I'll have a preview of that video. And what's important to know is that there's now forced stimulus checks in every state. The huge news, the huge deliciousness, the huge issues all heat up in today's recording. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get to it. It's Afternoons LA, and it starts right now. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. For May 2nd, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, I'm glad you are here for America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. It's Evening to LA. We'll have a preview of that video coming up. If you have not become a member, make sure you do. Go to the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Why? Because there's now a forced stimulus check landed by direct deposit in every state. I'm going to show you how to get that over today's recording. For May 2nd, 2022, the breaking news is that we have a lot of developing details on Build Back Better Act that just happened today, May 2nd. Also for your SS 300. Also what happened for your student loan debt forgiveness. Meantime, also what's going on with that 6 stimulus because of the problems coming out of China. Over this 1-hour broadcast, get ready. Stay to the very end because I have more checks on the very end of this video. And Holosium. Huggaroos. Oh, goodness. And Mitcha and Chuckabunga. Chaka. We're going to have a great day today, and I'm excited for you. Let's go over all the incredible news. Is that there's a forced stimulus check that has landed now in every U.S. state. You heard me right. A forced stimulus check has now landed by direct deposit in every U.S. state. But when I say that to you, that does not mean you want to run to look at your bank account deposits. You want to stay with this video because I'm going to show you how to get it. Remember, this is not something that's going to land in a mailbox just because you have a beautiful San Francisco hairstyle. In fact, if you do have a San Francisco hairstyle, it'll probably land in someone else's mailbox. But over this broadcast, we got all the incredible money for you. I'm going to start first with the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act is getting built back and better than it was before. And the news from the White House today is that they're re-signaling and refocusing the president's agenda back on you. Over the last few weeks, we've been focusing a lot on Ukraine, and that has not done well in the U.S. polls. Now, more Americans disapprove of the president's performance than approve it, and that's among both Republicans and Democrats. Going into the midterm elections, what Joe Biden is now trying to do is refocus back on the American agenda. By getting the Build Back Better Act, the White House insiders like Andrew Bates, spokesperson for the president, confirms negotiations have been underway for the Build Back Better Act. And that is important because they need to get you those additional, notice how I pause there, additional checks from for stimulus before you vote in the midterm elections. You would not vote on election night, likely November 2022. You'd likely vote by mail, which could be upwards of 3 months ahead of time. That is why the formation of the negotiations need to be wrapped up this month to then get it to a vote before Memorial Day to get you a check before you vote. It's as simple as that. Now let's repeat it again. 4 stimulus checks have already landed in every U.S. state. These Build Back Better Act checks are on top of that. There are different ways to get you checks. Checks can come from Congress, checks can come from the president, checks can come from leftover money. We've done this for a while, that leftover money on this channel. That's usually where the big success stories come with the leftover money. And the great news is that the money is now available. But Build Back Better Act has additional checks on top of that. Over the last few months, we've been going over those additional checks in the Build Back Better Act. There is that $25,000 for the free home health care, for the purchase of your first home. There is the $250 billion for free home health care for seniors and people on disability. There are the MSC checks proposed of $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. There are the clusters of checks in the Build Back Better Act. There is so much money in this incredible Build Back Better Act that it's so wonderful. I mean, we have the paid leave, we have the hazard pay, we have the elder care. I've been covering it ad nauseum on this channel for just a while. $15,000 to $80,000 of checks in there, just huge sums of money. And then, of course, we have lots of different clusters like the seniors and the free internet. In that third cluster, lots and lots of money. So what is the White House doing with this Build Back Better Act? Well, number one, they're trying to get it to a vote by Memorial Day weekend. Number two, they're trying to get the negotiations wrapped up in May. And number three, they're trying to refocus back at the Democratic Party on the domestic agenda. Why is this important? Because the U.S. economy is stalling up. And the good news, ironically, is the bad news helps you. If you've been with this channel for a while, since day one, since the early days of 2020, you learned early on that when economic data is poor or weak, then you get stimulus. When the economy is doing really well, you maybe have a harder push to get stimulus. The latest details as we start from May 2nd, 2022 today is that corporate earnings are down dramatically. The U.S. economy is struggling dramatically. And that the projections for the third quarter of this year, which is not where we are now, we're just started second quarter, are actually even worse. On Friday, Apple reported corporate earnings, and it says by third quarter, it should see major pressures on its earnings because of supply chain disruption. They are saying that by third quarter, they may not be able to get the component parts into their products like the iPhone because of the supply chain disruption out of China. They were not alone, as other companies reported horrible corporate earnings last week, whether it was Apple, whether it was Amazon, now reporting a corporate loss compared to a corporate earnings per share, and signaling that it may have the worst numbers since about 2015, 2016. Folks, this is not a bad number for just compared to year to date. This is a bad number for over 10 years, and it's only happening right now. So what's the latest details today? Brand new, because you may have heard that Apple and other corporate earnings reporting on this channel over the weekend. The earnings per share in the month of March, which of course, which we just got the details in last Friday, shows the slowest growth of the U.S. economy on a corporate scale for many, many years. 80% of S&P companies report positive earnings per share for first quarter, which we just wrapped up, above the 5-year average of 77%, according to FactSheet. But when we look at what's to come, it would mark the lowest year-to-date number since December 2020. You know what we're looking like? We're looking at pandemic. For the current quarter, there have been negative EPS earnings guidance for 26 S&P companies, and 17 have issued positive EPS guidance. What does that mean? Of the companies, the major U.S. companies in the United States, 26 of them are reporting they're going to have a major shortage on the earnings side. They're going to shrink. They're not going to make less money. They're going to make less money. 26 of the S&P 500, and 17 say that we'll have a good month. Well, what about the rest? We're going to see that as well. The data across the board on the U.S. economy is stalling up. Number of non-farm payrolls down 66,000 less than projected. The national growth of the U.S. economy shrinking. That is the gross national product, the GDP. It was 7.1% projected in the month of April. It came in at 6.9%. Then it started to lose 1% per month. We learned this last month. Then the White House insider says we're going to 3.7% growth by the end of the year, while Wall Street's looking at 4%. What am I looking at? 0 or negative percent. Because I'm projecting a recession starting in 2023. A recession means that there's not growth. There is no growth. In fact, you're contracting. You're going to go from a positive number to a negative number. All this means for Build Back Better Act is it's good news. When you have that good news for Build Back Better Act, that means that they're likely to get it done. And the negotiations between Sinema and Manchin have been ramping up. The president's spokesperson, Andrew Bates, confirms. Moreover, Liz Warren actually came out very aggressively, ironically, over the weekend saying she's unhappy with the president's agenda. Excuse me? Democrats versus Democrats are unhappy that the president has not gotten the domestic agenda going on. And that is likely what's to be the major turn of events this week. Now, the other major turn of events, which is very much in line of what we just went over, of course, is that FOMC meeting that could impact your SS 300. The Federal Reserve will have that major May meeting called the FOMC meeting. And that major FOMC meeting will determine whether inflation is coming down quickly, slowly, or not coming down at all. What is going on? Well, the Federal Reserve will have that meeting. And that FOMC meeting already had guidance last month. We already know that Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve will do a little bit of tightening. They'll do a half basis point increase for interest rates at that May meeting, which starts on Wednesday. It's a 2-day meeting. It's called the Federal Open Market Committee, and the actual decision will be released at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a Wednesday, and have a press conference thereafter, 30 minutes. I'll have both of them on this channel at the time. More tightening? Well, one analyst, a former president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, says the only way to battle inflation is to get it very tight on the monetary policy. That's a brand new comment today. It shows that things should be down because everything is becoming expensive. His comment is half basis point is not working. Now, let me tell you something brand new, and I was surprised when I found this quote. I actually had to read it a few times. The quote says that while the Federal Reserve has told you they're going to do a half basis point increase for that tightening this Wednesday, Wall Street analysts, according to this quote, says that they're expecting thereafter that the Federal Reserve will go back to a quarter basis point. Excuse me? I don't agree. I believe that the Federal Reserve is going to have a half basis point in May, half basis point thereafter, and continue with that half basis point until it realizes it's not working. More about that in a second. This is big for your SS 300. Why? Because that's what would raise your benefits up $300 more per month if inflation doesn't come down. Let me go over the details. Joe Biden, when running for the president of the United States, and then, as your president, said that he is going to swap COLA for inflation as your benchmark. Every December, your benefits are reassessed based upon a benchmark, and that benchmark is inflation. And inflation cheated. Well, you got cheated by COLA in December last year because Joe Biden had not yet swapped COLA for inflation. COLA came in at 5%, inflation was 8%, as I projected all last year. I projected inflation would be 8% and still not come down and actually go higher. Was I right? Yes, every single part of the time. Federal Reserve said it was going to be 1 to 2% and temporary. Oh, did they get that one wrong? So let's go over what happened and what's happening right now. Inflation was 8% in December, 8% in January, 8% in February. A little bit higher on 8%, a bit higher than 8% in March, and then in April, boy, much higher, much hotter. As the situation with Ukraine heated up, well, the energy prices went up 11% from February to March. And then when you look at the price of your fresh fruits in the market, they went up 3% from March to April. Whoa, that is more inflation in April than we had even in March. Translation, it's good for you. It's good for you for your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and real benefits, because if Joe Biden makes that swap today, you get $200 more per month. Yes, because inflation is at least 8%. As long as inflation stays at least 8%, you're getting about $200 more per month once Joe Biden makes that call to the Social Security Administrator head to swap that COLA for inflation. Then, if inflation comes in down at 1%, at 4% by the end of this year, that would raise your benefits up another $100. Isn't it great? It's really great. But what's not so great is Jay Powell. Jay Powell's trying to come in and reduce that inflation. But is he or isn't he? Let me tell you what's going on with Jay Powell. Jay Powell will think and tell you he thinks that he's going to get inflation down to 1.9% by the end of the year. 1.9%? Excuse me? That's not $100 per month. Well, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'll tell you why in just a second. Jay Powell thinks he's going to get inflation down, by June to 5% or 6%. It's not going to happen. In fact, I think what's going to happen is that everything that Jay Powell's going to do is just going to give you higher interest rates and not lower inflation. Why? Because the inflation that's currently caused in the U.S. economy is caused by supply chain disruption. And supply chain disruption, Jay Powell has no tools to fix. If he has no tools to fix it, then what is he doing? He's just giving you higher interest rates and not bringing down inflation. I think that is what is going to happen. I'm not alone in that equation. Supply chain disruption currently caused in the U.S. economy by coming out of COVID. 1. Number 2, Putin invading Ukraine. 3, Omicron in subvariant in China causing its factories to not be able to produce our products and ship them back to us, and not be able to produce their products and import them to us. And that supply chain disruption, and nothing Jay Powell has a tool for. He has nothing to do with the factories in China. And what is he going to do? Well, he's just going to give you higher interest rates. And that is what is going on right this afternoon. The bond yields are surging once again. The bond traders trade up the bonds to higher rates when they think the Federal Reserve is going to give you higher rates. They move before the Federal Reserve moves. So the benchmark 10-year Treasury yield on Monday was making a run at 3% again. 3% again. Get ready for the mortgage rates. What are those going to be? 5.5%? Oh. And the Fed two-day meeting ends on Wednesday with the expectation of 50 basis point increase, and the market expecting a rate hike of 25 basis point over the remaining 5 meetings this year. I'm not. I'm expecting more than 25 basis point over the remaining 5% point this year. This 25 basis point increase in March was the first move in over 3 years, and oil prices currently down today. What does this mean for you? Well, it's a double whammo of good news. Because remember, the way that stimulus works is that if the economic data is bad, then it helps you get money. Now we have another part of the equation, which is the midterm elections. And we have agreement among Republicans and Democrats. Let's look at all these 3 things combined. First, where are we right now? Well, we have that midterm elections just around the corner. And the ability to get you money has to be really solidified by about May to start getting it out the door and signed into law. Republicans and Democrats both agree that the U.S. economy is not doing well. Okay, they both have to do something to solve the situation, because no one this time is voting for a party if they don't do something. Number 3, I think that both parties are in a bind. 1, Republicans can't sit back and vote against the Build Back Better Act, because if it passes, oh boy, they're going to get smeared in the midterm elections, because Democrats say, hey, we got your money. They didn't. Number 2, Democrats can't try to do the Build Back Better Act by themselves and fail, because Republicans say they're the party in control. They got you no money. But what if they do it together? Oh, then that's the easiest cakewalk, because then they can both take a victory lap, even though the lap may be a short victory lap. That is why I think that Build Back Better Act, or version of it, will be done bipartisan, and actually really needs to win in the midterm elections. Now, as to that SS300, Joe makes that phone call to swap that benefits. You're good. Joe's done this before. He has made that phone call to Department of Agriculture in October of last year to tell them, pay more money for SNAP. And they did. He made the phone call to Miguel Cardona, head of education, saying, forget some student loan debt. He did. All he has to do is pick up the phone and contact that hairdresser in San Francisco, say, change the hairstyle. No, he also has to... He needs to call the tailor and say, stop making those lobster shorts. He has to call someone in Michigan and say, eat more Brussels sprouts. Hi, girls. Hello, Sam. He has to call a guy in New York and say, chaka, chaka. No, all he has to do is call the Social Security Administrator head. I think that's going to be my new line on this channel. What does Joe call and what does he say? I could just see me going with this one for a while. He needs to call that Social Security Administrator head and swap that COLA for inflation. And once he does, we're good. Now, the great news is that for May 2nd, 2022, as we start the month of May, the great news is that there, I'm going to slow it down, is a fourth stimulus check in every state. At least one check per state. And the huge news is I'm going to show you how to get it. Let's put up the graphic right now. A fourth stimulus check has now landed in every U.S. state and in your direct deposit. Oh, how do you get it? You become a member. I'm going to go over how to get that check in the second half. Become a member. The link's at the top of the chat. Pin comment. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. The membership newsletter becomes Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What you need to know is that this is May 2022. This is not May 2020. This is not May 2021. Things are different. Things operate differently. But the great news is that unlike before, there's a lot of checks. Let's say that again. There is a check in every single state. Did I say that before? I think I did say that before. There's a check in every single state. But the ability to get it, how you get it, is different than you've seen in 2020. Different than how you've seen in 2021. I'm just excited there's lots of checks. How do you get them? You get your pen and paper ready, and if you're a member, you pull out that membership newsletter, because in the second half of this video, we're going to go over those incredible checks. There's not one. There's not two. There is not three. But there is upwards of 4 or more fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state today. And I'm going to go over how you get it. If your focus is looking and staring and eating a donut, then check the cholesterol. Check the cholesterol. Because this is not something for a passive viewer. Passive viewer is someone who says, I'm just looking at the bank account. I'm just looking at the bank account. All I see is zeros. No. This is for the active viewer. This is for the active viewer. The viewer who puts down that donut and starts doing what needs to be done. And I have all the incredible details for you coming up after the commercial break. Then we'll be looking at student loan debt forgiveness. Whoa. Could more debt be forgiven by Joe Biden? Of course he is. Of course he is. Which debts have been forgiven? Which debts were announced to be forgiven by the President of the United States last week? And which debts are coming after that? Oh boy. This is 7 symbols. It's coming up in the second half of this video. Then you'll see my commentary as we go into those interest rate announcements from the Federal Reserve, that FOMC meeting. I'll give you my projection for this U.S. economy. I don't want you to be on the wrong side of the equation, because guess what? I've been through this before. I was around when the last recession happened. You know, I was just in a toddler's outfit. But I read it in the history classes when the last recession hit. People did not anticipate it. People got really badly burned. The bubble burst, and they were on the wrong side of the equation. Next year, it's hitting. So I have over 6 months to prepare you for that. And trust me, I believe there's going to be a lot more stimulus then as well. So how do you prepare? What do you do? Plus, I'll have my commentary about where this economy is and also where your stimulus is. It's a big second half. I'm so excited you're here. It's May 2nd, 2022. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the deliciousness of Afternoons LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on a beautiful May 2nd, 2022 for Afternoons LALATE. How you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful day. And I wish you halosium and chaka chaka. Hope you're having a beautiful day. And huggaroos. In this second half of this video, we're going to go over the 4 stimulus checks now landing in every U.S. state. Now, before we get to this part of this recording, I want to go over a little bit of a Vulcan mind melt with you. I want you to look at me, I want you to look back at me, and I want you to repeat with me the following. There's a 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state. Say it again. There's a 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state. I want you to get really into the mindset so we can focus on the detail. I don't want to be sitting here to convince you about the reality of a situation. I want to be focusing on the details of how to get the money. Let's say it again. There's a 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state. And there is, in many states, multiple checks. Again, there's a 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over how to get these incredible checks starting right now. What I want you to know is that when you look at 4 stimulus checks, they can come many different ways, many different ways. This is 2022. So I wanted you to take whatever you remember from getting money in the past from the U.S. government in 2020, throw it out the window. What you ever got in 2021, throw it out the window, because this is 2022. I don't want you to use a reference point of something 6 months, 12 months, 2 years ago. Well, that's how it happened before. I need you to focus on now. Okay, now that we have sort of emptied our minds and focus on there's a check in my state, how do I get the check? Now you and I can focus on details and focusing on how to earn by learning. The first check at issue is a $6,500 fourth stimulus check, which has been now launched in every U.S. state. That $6,500 fourth stimulus check is now in every U.S. state. And that fourth stimulus check in some states is upwards of $12,000. That's the only difference. Again, this is huge. And we're going to start with this first check. This first check, my friends, is Check A. Check A became a law over a month ago. So you can't wait for this check. It is $6,500 to $12,000. It has launched nearly 30 days ago. Why do I say that? It's important because the checks will run out of funds, so don't wait to get this money. It's a 4 stimulus check, and it's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. The income eligibility is you. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. That's you. You got it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Rural Benefit, you can get it. How do you get this Check A? You do not get it by being passive, looking and staring and watching a bank account balance. No. Standing by the mailbox? No. The way you get Check A is first becoming a member. Going to the top of the chat, pin comment, becoming a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then, get in that newsletter, Monday through Friday. Open it up, going to the first few lines and looking for Check A. Next, pretty simple. Go down into Check A's description, the newsletter. It'll give you a bigger description of what it is, great information, and then it'll have a web link, an internet link, a website to go to. You click it, you go in and apply. You apply, and You look for first, it'll send you into the national website. Then you choose your state, like Tennessee. Then you choose the Tennessee Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. Then you apply. You're done. So simple across the board. That, my friends, is your check A. Next, you're going to do check B. You're going to do check A and you're going to do check B. Check B, $15,000 to $80,000 for stimulus check. This has been law for about a month as well, at least. So don't wait, because it could run out of funds. Income qualification, same as A. Check A. Single individual, $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. This is called the Homeowners Grant Check. Where do you get this? How do you get this? So simple. In the membership newsletter. I put this all together for you. You don't have to look for these things. You don't have to hunt them on the internet. You don't have to spend 5 hours looking and searching to find these things. They're all put together in a concise, written up newsletter. It is tailor-made for you, the viewer. It is so simple. There is nothing like this in the United States anywhere except here at LALATE. This is why we, as a family, the Purple Parrot community, are winning. So let's go into that newsletter. Look for check B. Click the link. You go into the national website. You'll see a map of the United States. Then what you do is you choose your state on that map. It looks like this. Then you apply at your respective state. The routing times are about 1 week after approval. It'll say approved. So simple across the board. Let's now go to check C. Check C has been in every U.S. state since early 2021. Check C is an MSC check. It is $2,400 to, on the high end, sometimes nearly $200,000. It's a third stimulus check, but I put it in the context of 4 stimulus. And it is wonderful. Whose income qualifications? Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. If you're on SSI, SSDI, you can get it. This is for both homeowners and renters. What does check C pay for? It pays for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. How do you get this incredible check C? It's averaging currently about $2,000 a month over 12 months. I've been doing this check C for nearly 2 years. And the great news is that people are getting more money than they got before, and that the money is still there. It hasn't run out. Who knew? Who would have believed that the money would not run out? Let's look at some success stories that viewers have had in the last few months. When we looked at the rent, they were getting these sums of money. Look at these astronomical numbers. Lots of viewers sent me beautiful success stories this week. If you've had a success story, post in the live chat right now. I don't care when it was. Just post a success story, what your success is. $100, $10,000, I don't care. Every success story inspires other people. Send me a private message as well on Facebook, and I will feature it on air. Look at these numbers for utilities. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. Let's look at these numbers for Snap. Mark's brother-in-law got $25,000 a month. A year, over 10 years, that's $250,000. Let's look at these numbers for Combo. Wow, just incredible. Then here's Mark. He was at 50, then he went to 105. Now he's at 166,000. Here's Lorraine. She's at 105, now heading to 120. You're going to reach out to a series of places. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And because you're a member, you're also going to reach out to the nonprofits featured in the newsletter. You're going to say rent assistance because of COVID, utility or mortgage assistance because of COVID. Where do you call? What do you say? How do you say it? And how do you do it? It's all featured in the membership newsletter. Check A, B, and C. But for people who are non-members, I just went over how to get that money from the first 9 places. And that, my friends, is your check C. You deserve these sums of money. Go get it right now. Now, again, to learn more about that check C, you go into that membership newsletter, go right down to check C. It gives you everything I just said to you, slowly printed out, ready for you to just read and then make the calls. This is for renters. This is for homeowners. This is all incredible, great news. Now, there's then check D. Check D is also in U.S. states. Check D is a forced stimulus check that is the residue of third stimulus. Now, this check D is different compared to A, B, and C. Let me tell you why. At this point in the recording, among check A, every U.S. state has check A. Check B, every U.S. state has check B. Check C, every U.S. state has check C. Check D, not every single U.S. state currently has check D, but I believe it will. So I'll make sure that you understand. Among check A, B, C, D, at least one of A, B, and C, and D is in every U.S. state. Now, let's look at check D. When you look at check D, what's the situation? Well, this is residue money, leftover money from third stimulus. Use or lose. States were given money and now they have to use the money. They have to determine how to use the money. It's a stimulus check, different versions, different ways across the states. And they have to make the determination about this month because they got to get the checks out to you by about early fall because they're going to lose the money. They'll return it back to the federal government by December. They're not going to lose it. They're going to spend it on you. Current status, which states, how many states? About 24 U.S. states currently have check D. Remember, 100% of all states have check A, B, and C. But as a check D, about 24 states have check D. The amounts are ranging, and the amounts are very, very fascinating. What your state does, how your state does it, what are the qualifications, they're all in the membership newsletter. Open that membership newsletter, and I fully believe that will ramp up to about 40 states in the next few days. Now, what is important for you to do is not wait, because when you look at these checks, every state has a forced stimulus check. And the way you get it is become a member. Go to the top of the chat, pin comment, and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. I'll have more about these checks later in this recording. New news on that as well, stay to the very end. But now let's just briefly turn it to 7 stimulus. 7 stimulus is that student loan debt forgiveness. This has actually been a real win for the viewers of this channel, and I hate to never leave it in the wayside because it's not. Viewers have been sending me beautiful messages over the last 7 days, like Chef John Meyer saying, hey, I got thousands of dollars of student loan debt forgiven. Another viewer as well. Viewers are getting big success stories from student loan debt forgiveness. If you're in the live chat, post your success story. Let me tell you the status on this one. First, I don't think I said this before, so let me say this one as well. In the case of 7 stimulus student loan debt forgiveness, you got to make a call on this one as well. You can't just sit back and say, when are they depositing the student loan debt forgiveness in my bank account? No. You have to make a phone call. It ain't that difficult, folks. If you have a student loan debt that was written by the federal government, a federal student loan debt, you have to make the phone call, and it's forgiven. It's just, thank you. Can I order some fries with that? No, we don't. That's the other phone number. It's so simple. Mangoes? No. Upside down pineapple cake? No. Banana bread? No. Lobster shorts? Please. You're pushing it, sir. Just go and make the phone call. What's the status right now? The president has forgiven student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then, for people who went to work in the nonprofit or public sector. Then, for people whose debts were due back in May, he rolled it over to September. Next, if your debts were in default, he's put them into good standing. Here's the big one, which a lot of viewers apparently are qualified for. If your student loan debts were procured by fraud by the university against you, they're forgiving the debt completely. Oh, boy, that's a big one. Now, the President of the United States, going into last weekend, said that he will be working on other student loan debt forgiveness, but it will not be $50,000. I'm not considering $50,000, but I'm in the process of taking a hard look at what else is going to happen. Many people believe, including myself, that he's also going to forgive an additional $10,000 from where we are right now, which will wipe out $321 billion of federal loans and eliminate the entire balance for 12 million other people. I haven't said this in a few days, so let me give you these words again. I want you to first go to Department of Education. Then look under the press releases. Read every single one for over the last 2 months. And look and see what Miguel Cardona is doing, because he's announcing debt forgiveness that is just too complicated for me to record. I have problems understanding it. But if you're a borrower, you'll see these words in your contract. Write down the following words. IDR credit. Igloo, Darren, Robert credit. Then write down the following. Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Then write down the following. Income-based repayment programs. All right, let me tell you what they're doing. They're modifying the language of the existing statutes that govern your loans so that some of your loans go from owing money to being forgiven. We have an ongoing rulemaking that will take a look and see what type of statute should qualify for IDR credit, and that will help us improve the process going forward. Wow. That's the Undersecretary to Miguel Cardona. And that we're looking to forgive more debts under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and several other thousands of borrowers under the Income Repayment Program. Wow, that's incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Go get those debts, and you deserve it. And congratulations to the viewers who have gotten across the board. Finally, my commentary as we go into a big afternoon's LA today for May 2nd, 2022. It's important for you to really come to the channel, come to the recordings daily, stay to the very end, don't miss a minute of the entire video, because sometimes the big money is at the end of the video. Sometimes the details of how to get the money is at the end of the video. And more importantly, there's a changing situation every day, every moment. This money is first come, first serve when we talk about forced stimulus, and you can't wait to pounce as a purple hawk. The expression purple hawk was established by me, created by me in early 2021 to describe people pounce like hawks. Hawks see something, they pounce. And the concept was first come, first serve, use or lose. You wait to get the money, then someone else will get it, and then you'll come too late, it'll be gone. That is so important in view of what I'm about to say right today. In recent days, I've seen some people who really are still coming to the channel with a mindset that is not caught up and sped up to the present. And I got to tell you, you got to get caught up. You got to get on mindset. You got to get focused, or I'm leaving you behind, because I don't have time to get you caught up on something that I've been saying now for 3 months. Since March 2022, there has been a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. We're now in May. If you're coming to the recordings and saying, is there a forced stimulus check in my state? And I've seen you in every recording since March. You got to get caught up, folks. You got to get caught up. You shouldn't be asking this question anymore. I'm saying this from tough love. Why? Because if you keep on asking the question, is there a check? And I'm saying, yeah, there's a check. The next question should be, the only question should be from you is, how do I get the checks? I've applied, maybe I did A and I'm having an issue with A, maybe I've done B, I've done C. If you don't even know there's a check and you watch every single video, there's something wrong. There's something really wrong. So let's do this right now. Repeat back with me. There's a check in every U.S. state. There is at least one forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. There's a forced stimulus check in my state. There's a forced stimulus check in your state. There's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Once I can get you to understand that, then we have moved forward. If you can't get to that point, then you ain't moving forward. You're being left in the sidelines. And I understand if you're a new viewer. I understand if you just found this channel. Welcome. Helosium. Huggaroos. Chucka chicka. No, I messed that up. Chuck a checka. There's a forced stimulus check now in every U.S. state. You got to say that. You got to understand that. If you understand that, I can't get you caught up. I'm far beyond that, folks. This is 2 months later. This is May. I'm going to be in calendar calling and say, is it May? Yeah, it is May. And I still have people saying, is there a check in my state? My goodness, you are just really not getting caught up. I'm not asking you to define the location of the check. I'm just asking you to understand that there's a check in your state. There is a forced stimulus check in your state. Okay, now, once you got that focused, then the question is, how do I get the check? Let's breathe. That's just such a sigh of relief. Once I can get you to say, okay, I'm ready to know how to get that check, then we're all on the same page then. Then we're focusing on how to get the check. Have you opened the membership newsletter? Have you read it through? Have you gone through it? Have you pulled the newsletter out and opened it up before you watch the camera's recordings? Have you gone through it? I got it. It's a 50-minute video. Evenings LA is a 1-hour show. This is about a 45-minute show. I got it. There's a lot going on in the video. That's why there's a membership newsletter. The newsletter is written. So this is what would happen. You have it in front of you. You listen to the video. Check A. He's talking about check A in the video. Let me read the newsletter. Oh, there's check A. Oh, okay. Check A. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, he said that. Okay, I got that. It's very good because you get to hear it because you're listening to a video. I have graphics on the video. I got it. I show you an image and things like that. But if you see it written in front of you, it's another way to visualize it. So I'm putting in front of you a graphic for check A, for example, and then you have a membership newsletter in front of you as you're following along with the video. You're watching. You see this graphic, then you see the newsletter in front of your hand. You're holding it in front of you as the phone is on the table and you're watching the video or you're watching on your computer. Then we go to check B and check C. You're watching this and following along. It makes it so simple for you that when you say, okay, there's a check in my state, I know where to find it because LA has now explained to me where these checks are. Let me say it another way. They're sort of like 101, LA 101. Or no, that's not even LA 101. Stimulus 101, LA Late 101, LA 202, and LA 3.0. Stimulus 1.0 is here's a 4-minute video, and let me tell you what Joe Manchin had for lunch today. See you tomorrow. That's not going to get you any money, folks. That's not going to get you any money. LA 101 is there's a stimulus check in your state. Oh, okay. I got that. Okay. LA 2.0. Now let me show you the 4 places where the checks say. Check A, B, C, D. Okay, I understand what check A, B, and C, D is now. I got it. I've passed now LA 1.0 and LA 2.0. All right. How do I get a check from check A? And how do I get a check from check B? Okay, now we're gonna go in here. Now we're at LA 3.0. And then when you get that first check, I've graduated. I have graduated from the School of LA at LA 3.0, but I'm ready for my PhD in Brussels sprouts. I'm ready for my PhD in Huggaroos. I am ready to now get 2 stimulus checks. I'm ready to get a check A and a check B. I'm ready to get a check C from both the city and also the county. I'm ready to get multiple checks, like you set that graphic up with Mark and Lorraine that got multiple Ryans, or Nisi. I'm ready to get multiple checks. And guess what? Many of you have already done this. Most of you have already done this. It's for everyone else that I'm trying to get on board relatively quickly. Why am I coming in a little bit thicker on this today? You know why. The money's going to be gone. The money's going to be gone. I get it. We're 2 months out now. Money went live in March. Now we're in May. You can't be sitting here and saying, in September, I'll go get the money. Oh, it's gone. Yeah, because I've been making this recording since March. And then you can't be saying, I understand everything you have. I just want to wait for Build Back Better Act. Good. Wait for Build Back Better Act while the bank account remains empty. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. I got a check for every one of you. The only checks, unfortunately, sometimes I don't have are for people who are homeless. I'm sorry. I may never have checks under forced stimulus for anyone that is homeless. I just may not. I may not ever have a forced stimulus check for anyone who's homeless. I may also never have a forced stimulus check for people who have no bills, which is a hard thing for me to digest because I don't know a person who really believes they have no bills, doesn't pay a bill for anything, doesn't have any bill for anything. But if you have no bills that you ever pay, you just have no expenses, you don't pay for anything in your life, then there may never be a forced stimulus check for you if you don't pay a bill for anything. Because forced stimulus is all about paying your bills. And if you have no bills for them to pay, the federal government, then what are they paying? They're just giving you a check because, you walk and you sing. Those 2 individuals, sadly, I don't think I will ever have a forced stimulus check for people who are homeless or who have no bills, which in some cases is the same person. But for everyone else, there's a forced stimulus check in your state, and there's a forced stimulus check for you. If you're on SSI and SSDI, congratulations to all the incredible viewers who have gotten astronomical. I'm going to use the word fortunes. Yeah, fortunes. Fortunes from forced stimulus check. $66,000, $150,000. Viewers on SSI and SSDI have gotten it from forced stimulus. They've gotten it because they've listened. They've gotten it because they've done the notes. They've gotten it because they bounced. And tonight on News LA, we're going to go over more of the incredible details. Because remember, these are just the forced stimulus checks here now. Don't want you to focus on something in the future when the checks are available right now, because I know how things work. Where's this U.S. economy going? We're going to recession. We're going to recession in 2022. But let me tell you, what happens before recession is the U.S. economy gets very bad. And the U.S. economy is getting very bad between now, May, and December 2022. Guess what you want to do? You want to grab every check you can grab. You want to grab those checks right now if the U.S. economy is going to get very bad between May and December of this year, because guess what? It's going to be harder to live economically if the U.S. economy is going to get bad. My projection is U.S. economy will be in complete recession by January of next year. That means that we're going to shrink from 6.9% GDP right now to 0% by the end of the year. That is a major fall off, folks. And with major fall off, you do not have the opportunity to sit around and say, I'll just wait for something else later on. Wait, why? Do you think the people who have flexible mortgages on their homes, they're about to see their mortgage rates go sky high to 6%? Do you think they can wait? Do you think that people who have car payments that are now seeing their payments go through the roof, do you think they can wait? What about credit card debt? Do you think they can wait? None of you that have those situations or anything even worse can wait. You got to get the checks available now. I think I've played enough hard love for one day. That's probably why I'm wearing red. I have the heart on my chest, and I know it's not Sunday, but who knows? Hello, Sue. And with that, coming up tonight on A News LA, we have a major show, and boy, is it a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So remember, you and I look at each other. There is a check in my state. There is a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. And I am here to get that check. I'm here to get that check. Repeat it back. If there's a forced stimulus check in my state, I'm going to get that forced stimulus check, and I'm going to become a member. Become to the top of the chat and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, to the shores of your home. I'll see you tonight on that major broadcast on evenings at 5 o'clock. Boy, it's a big show. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.